When you say very soon, how soon is very soon? I mentioned Ajah, but there's also the same issue in Koshofe, and someone just tweeted that idea. So it's spread across. This is just Lagos. What about the rural areas in the country that probably there's not enough light to power the machines that you have? There are challenges that are associated with registration, and INEC is proposing going all electronic, mostly electronic. And since you have a law that's backing that now, how soon would all these things be sorted out?
If you're asking, if the question is restricted on registration, the soon is very soon in terms because we are almost finalizing the process of getting more machines. And once that is done, we send it. When I mean due process, we are doing due process to acquire these machines. That is on that. Let me say something about when you look at the whole country. We have 774 local government, and once we started, we said, okay, let's start with that to have continuous voter registration, so you can go to your local government to register. But you see, most people will not go there. They prefer for you to come to the ward. We don't have that funds to go to the ward now because we have almost 8,800 and something wards in this country. You can imagine when we give these machines there, how much it will cost. So we are working with funds. We are working with what we have. So with 774 local government, we now extended to 1,446 centers. So we're getting closer to people. I understand what goes on, but we have also noticed that the moment we extended, the crowd started thinning down. So we do believe that with more machines that we're about getting, like I told you very soon, the crowd will reduce. And before the election, I bet you most people must have been registered. But at the same time, we're asking people to register. Let them also come and collect their cards. So you don't just register without having a card. Thank you.
For while we are still at registration, some people have moved from where they used to live or moved to another state, around the country, and they are having some kind of issues. How do you solve the issue of relocation and people who want to register and ensure that in their new location they're able to vote?
Yes, there are two things I want to say on this. If the law is very clear on this, if you move from one place to the other, you need to transfer yourself. And the procedure to transfer is also very clear. However, if you want to transfer, assuming you were in Lagos and you have moved to Abuja, simple thing you do, you need to apply. And when you apply and it's processed and you approve, we do the transfer electronically within us internally. But you need to apply because we also have to follow the law. So
apply where?
People should go to these centers. There's always a transfer desk there. Let them do the application and it will be done. This is the easiest way, unlike before where we have to call you back and take the picture. Now, once you now apply and is approved, we just go to the database, pick up your information, and just move it to where you are now. So that's what we're doing. So people should get to that. I have had people say, for instance, oh, I've moved from this place to the other, let me go and register electronically, do my transfer. It's good. We'll get there, but for now, because of the infrastructure we have in this country, we don't have the network in every place that you might be. We don't even have one single database or one identity that we can use and say, okay, this person that is electronically doing this, that we know him. If, for instance, the NIN and whenever the NIMC, the National ID, which we hope is working very well, gets to perfection, we can at any place do all this transfer electronically, any place do whatever instantly. But for now, we still have to do what we call store, process, and come back. So that's why you notice a little, but we have improved the speed. Thank you.
Is INEC overwhelmed in terms of like the electronic requirements for this registration process?
I didn't hear you.
Mr. Nwafor, is INEC overwhelmed? You said we don't have one ID database that will help us to identify, so we still have to store, process, and all of that. Is that a challenge that INEC is having, and then what are you doing to solve that?
Yes. In most developing countries, especially sub-Saharan Africa, we never have national ID. Nigeria has been on it, and they are progressing. You must have a database, a biometric database, which NIMSI is working to harmonize among all the agencies. And once it's harmonized, every Nigerian will have a NIN number, National Identification Number. Once you have that, it means that any time you come to do any registration or do any verification, we ask you that because your biometrics have been captured and stored one place. So that makes it all electronic things that we do to identify you, to make you be a registered person, because we don't want multiple registration. We don't want aliens. We don't want people to come in there. So that aspect is progressing. And we do believe with the way things are going, maybe in 2023, this idea of doing electronic transfer, electronic registration in your room will come up. But for now, we have to work with what we have.
If I may come
That's
in here.
number one. Number two, I've had people say, oh, we do ATM. We do ATM anywhere. But I know in rural areas, you don't do ATM. ATM machines are in places where there are network. Elections are done in places where there are no network. We are doing some work now with NCC and NACHCOMSAT, and we're looking at footprints of where we have these 3Gs, even 2Gs, so that we can use it to do our planning. We do not have network infrastructure all over the country. Election is conducted all over the country. Registration is conducted all over the country. So you have to now use this and give a good design that will be more functional and more effective for the election.
Okay, Mr. Nwafo, we will take a moment and we'll go on a quick break. But just before we do that, let me read out this tweet from Carl. Carl's asking where they can pick up the cards. There should be a website where we can match where you register to the address, we can pick up the cards. And then Shuaibu Umar says, why doesn't INEC deploy an online portal for pre-registration so that what INEC does at the registration center will be just to do biometric capture? These are some of the questions that the INEC officials will be answering when we come back from this break. Don't go away. Welcome back. We're still on Sunrise and we're looking at the preparations by INEC for the next elections between 2019 and 2055, the plans and all of that. But we're talking about registration. Before we went on that break, Mr. Nwafo, we had some questions that I read out from Carl, who says, where can we pick up the cards? There should be a website where we can match points of registration and address where the cards can be picked up. And Umar was saying, Shuaibu Umar says, INEC should deploy a portal, an online portal for pre-registration so that what INEC does when you come to the registration center is to just do biometric capture. But based on this registration and PVC pickup, we have two mails from Ogunshola who says, no, is it Ogunshola? Yes. He said, some of your staff have lazy attitudes towards this exercise. I was in Alimosho on Wednesday last week, and they could not locate my permanent voter card. Then Nkechi says, Nkechi Okeshola, I hope I got that right, says, about those of us who have, ask your guests about those of us who have tried to collect our PVC, but were told the PVC could not be found. Our names are in the system as being duly registered. Mr. Nwafo.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me start by saying that, yes, we have a portal. But I would like to give the analysis this way. We have permanent voters card of those that have registered before 2015 election and have not collected it. We have voters card of those that did registration in RAs, when I mean RAs, the wards, when we did election in Kogi, Bayelsa, Ondo, Anambra, and so on, for the governorship election. Some of those that did those registrations have not even collected their PVC. We have this PVC, so it's not only registry. We have them. People should go and collect it. These are the cards that we have for collection. And the best way to collect it, you can go to our site. I can give you two. You go to voterreg.inecnigeria.org. You go to voters.inecnigeria.org. Simple thing. put your state, your surname, and if you have your TVC, go to the last 7 digits, put it there, submit, it will give you that you are registered. And when you will see your name in the register, and you will see where you are. Normally what we do is we now take these cards, distribute it accordingly. That is, by sending those that are associated with a ward or a polling unit. So if you are collecting cards, we normally send those cards to where you're supposed to collect it. So if you go to that portal, you will get to that. And once you get it, once you get your name, go to a particular, where the ward or the polling unit that you are associated with. Yes, somebody asked about registering online. That is doing registration online. Pre-registration before you now go to do the biometrics. That's very good. But we are moving towards a situation where we have a national database, national biometric database that is held with NIMSI. We have our own. Now, if we do that, we may not be focusing on harmonization, and we need to plan well. Laws are involved. As we speak now, the Electoral Act says you must have to do your registration and where you're going to vote. But somebody will say pre-registration is not that registration. We want to be sure that before we get to where we pick your biometric, we have done all those processes. I want to assure you that we are studying that. It's one of the things they do somewhere in some countries.